Canada's good for small business, but the US is great for small business. Then, we found you and we were thinking perhaps E2 visa, or do we qualify for this NIW visa? There were just so many different ones to choose from. And it was, even though we've moved, visas are a whole different thing. So we thought best to approach someone that knows this area, especially with the US, because you don't want to make a mistake on your application.
Patrick Findoro here, founding partner at Visa Franchise. Jason Smith joining us with Fix My Books. He's part of another family business, like Visa Franchise started with my brother, but Jason started with his wife.
Yeah.
Ariel and Jason were two Visa Franchise clients. We helped support the business plan and different endeavors for them to go directly for the green card. A lot of our Canadian clients tuning in are maybe thinking about moving to the US on a temporary basis, like the E2 visa, O1 visa, depending on if we're able to document their top talent, similar to the EB1A, or some might be going directly for the green card path, like the EB2, EB1, or even the EB5. So we'll talk a little bit about the visas, as there are some that are more temporary and some of that are more permanent, like the green card, the EB1, EB2, EB5 category, especially demystify what it means to move to the US and not necessarily rush this move and sell all your assets in Canada and wind things down, but at times taking baby steps depending on what your end goal is. So Jason, maybe you have a pretty unique background. Maybe you could talk just a little bit about yourself and your own journey across what, 3 continents, 4 continents?
Yeah, so I
Four?
was born I was born in Australia, and I left there many years ago now when I was quite young, and I moved to the Philippines. I met my wife there, Ariel, and then we moved to Hong Kong after that, and then things got a bit tumultuous there. So we actually decided, where do we want to live next? And we decided to move to Canada. So in 2019, we landed in Canada. We became citizens in Canada. We set up businesses in Canada. We've hired people in Canada. Around 2023, 2024, we started, looking at expanding our options in terms of our business. Then we just thought, oh, look at our nearest neighbor.
Big
That's
market down south.
yeah, probably the best market to go to in the Americas, because they speak English, very similar, similar cultures. And then, we looked into what it would take to move there, to expand our business there. And, we found you, Patrick. And yeah, that's kind of where the journey
Was it
began.
off YouTube, or how'd you come across us again?
Yeah, so we actually were just searching YouTube. A lot of the
You
things,
were
'cause,
watching one of these videos.
yeah, so it's the same with a lot of business owners. How they find us is, my wife makes a lot of YouTube videos on how to
Yes.
do certain bookkeeping or accounting concepts. Yeah, that's how we found you as well.
That's great. And then for you, I know, I mean, I guess with our platform, sometimes clients come to us with like a preset idea, but with our network of attorneys, we're able to provide different solutions. And
Mhm.
what a client comes to us saying, maybe they want to do the E2 visa, but after we're together with the attorneys, they're able to really dissect what your true immigration as well as business objectives are. There might be a pivot. But
Yeah, so
the
yeah,
third
you did
stool
that.
is the accounting side.
Yeah, so you did that with us. And so, several years ago, we started Fix My Books, which is a bookkeeping and accounting firm. Then we just realized that Canada's good for small business, but the US is great for small business. And, that's, who the clients that we service. Then, we found you, and we were thinking perhaps E2 visa, or do we qualify for this EB2 visa, NIW visa? There were just so many different ones to choose from, and it was, we're good at forms and we're good at accounting, but we're not good at even though we've moved, visas are a whole different thing. So we thought best to approach someone that knows this area, especially with the US, because you don't want to make a mistake on your application. You don't want
Yeah.
to apply
Then
for.
you can't come for 10 years. And
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to apply for an E2 visa when your real intent is to, move there and immigrate there permanently. You don't want to apply for a permanent residency visa when your intent is simply to just do business there.
that's well said. How I always say it when clients are coming to us, and whether they're looking to buy a franchise, start their own independent business, is, there's three items that we have to consider. There's the investment opportunity and risk. There's the visa, getting the visa, but also the risk. And then there's the accounting side. And I,
Yeah.
I find it's difficult to balance all three. You might have a case where someone wants to move and, by August enroll their kids, where that might not make the most business sense and might not make the most accounting sense. So our job is to really focus on the immigration side and the business side and help with that. But then you have the other component, which is tax and accounting. So I think that's where you, Jason, can provide a lot of value. And, whether it's US with the UK, US with France, US with Canada, that's where it really pays to have an expert that really works a lot of those binationals. So you're not paying them to go through Article 4 and all these for the first time to determine what works.
Yeah, I would refrain from trying to do this yourself a lot of the time. Sometimes you just have to have the mindset that I need to pay someone, um,
And
especially
pay
because
someone
this
that's
stuff is
done it
not.
before. You don't want to be the
Yeah.
guinea pig where it's the first time they're pulling out that treaty.
Yeah,
Where
and the penalties are big as well. When you misfile tax returns, especially in the United States, and you're claiming things that you're not entitled to, you're going to get in quite a bit of trouble.
And what would you say, like, is it a net savings, someone moving from Ontario to Florida?
The best thing about when it comes to moving to the United States is the range and optionality that you have, and optionality being the key word. So you can decide, I want to move to a very cheap area, that's okay. Or you can move to a very expensive area, and that's okay. And you can change your healthcare costs, and you can do all that. But in Canada, you really have this flaw when it comes to cost of living. So you'll struggle to find in Ontario a whole house to rent with 1,000 square feet that's under $2,500, right? So
Hmm.
your cost of living really has a base, whereas the base range in the United States can vary, and it even varies very wildly depending on the state that you move to.
Yeah, no, that's well said. And we've seen parts of Florida become very expensive, but
Mm.
certain parts of Florida, it's extremely affordable with good public schools and reasonable, other costs. And then a lot of our clients are also like in the Carolinas that, it's significantly less money than many parts of Ontario.
They don't look at Tennessee very often. Tennessee is very good in terms of taxes, healthcare,
Yeah.
and what you want out of life.
The
Um,
cultural capital too,
yeah,
Nashville.
a lot of Canadians will choose Arizona because this is something else you need to factor in. Do the state laws sort of work with your retirement accounts? And Arizona is one that is very friendly to Canadian retirement accounts. And just when it comes to mindset, always just be accountable and push yourself forward, because we notice that when a lot of people come from they've been an employee most of their life, and then they're moving towards owning their own business on an E2 visa, that kind of thing, you have to sort of drop the mindset of being an employee that someone else is going to do something for you, and just work on the mindset of like you're the one that's going to have to do most of this, and
Is
in hours that you don't want to work either.
That's well said. I mean, I think it's a big, massive mind shift, and a lot of our clients, maybe as employees, they were working 40 hours, 50-hour weeks, but as an entrepreneur, the hours can be significantly more some
Yeah.
weeks, and then go down other weeks or months. It's generally worth it at the end, but usually becoming an entrepreneur for the first time, especially if you're in your 40s or 50s, is going to be a
It's
pretty big
hard.
adjustment.
We like to say change your mindset from fixed income to variable income. So fixed
Yes.
income is like you're just an employee getting a salary, to variable income where the sky is the limit.
Well, that's a nice thing too. We have a lot of Canadian clients where one will be the entrepreneur, and then one, is able to get employment. And we've had nurses where they're able to get, readily essentially start working, and it's a much easier process coming from Canada as opposed to other countries, and they can be making and contributing to the family, 100K, have
Mhm.
great healthcare benefits. So they're not, they're paying minimal for their health insurance.
Yeah,
So we've seen a lot of those couples where one's entrepreneur and first year is gonna be tough, first 18 months are tough, but the other spouse is able to get a job relatively quickly in the US. It's a very free market. If you're not performing, you will get fired. If you're
yeah.
doing well, you will get promoted and you'll make more money.
Yeah,
Um,
as long as you have your SSN, you're fine. People aren't gonna give you a hard time.
Jason, any concluding thoughts for those Canadians that are thinking about making the move in 2025, 2026, or even those that already have started doing the move?
Yeah, just plan ahead. So, short list the things in your life and that are going on financially for you, and sort of have an objective. So, when it comes to where you want to move, don't just say United States, right? If you're going to move to the US in terms of your visa and you're working all that out, pick a place that actually aligns with your belief system, the business that you want to run, the way that you want to raise your kids, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because we find that even my own family that are US citizens, they've kind of moved to some places in the US and it was just done for no reason. And then they worked out 5 years later, I don't want to live here.
They didn't like the community, the ethos, because
Yeah. So
every
they,
state, every even city level is quite different.
Yeah, so that's what they found out when they moved was there's a lot of optionality again, but it's about picking the right place in the beginning because once you start putting down roots, it's difficult to pull them up again.
Yeah, I think it's a very easy decision, whether it's a Filipino community going to Virginia Beach
Mm.
or parts of Orange County to just kind of go and exactly in your comfort zone. And
Yeah,
I had an interview with a South African immigrant too that it's just common for certain cities and states, but to really open it up a bit and you have your fellow compatriots, but there's a lot of opportunity in the U.S. to integrate with other immigrants, like in Miami, where I think it's 50% plus
yeah.
immigrant born, and the U.S. overall is 15%. So even if it's not the same nationality, there's a lot of people that have gone through the same experience as you, pretty much no matter where you are, especially in the coastal areas of the US.
Yeah, there's a lot of range is the probably the correct term in the US. It's like that everywhere you go, but the US really does have a lot of flexibility in terms of the laws that you want, the schooling system that you want, etc.
Well, Jason, thanks so much for being on.
All right, thanks so much, Patrick. You have a great day, mate.